Al McFarlane. Welcome to the Conversation with Al McFarlane. I'm glad to be here and glad to have you along as well. And as always, I promise that today's will be a robust conversation, an exciting conversation. Some new friends and older friends are joining me for this program. I think you're going to enjoy it. Before I begin, let me invite you to support this conversation. And if you are checking us out through the YouTube page of Black Press USA, if you're looking at us through the Insight News YouTube page, if you're checking us out through Twitter, or X, or Facebook, or LinkedIn, like, share, and especially if you have a chance, go to the YouTube Insight News page and subscribe. Be a subscriber. We're trying to grow our membership, and you can help us. Each subscriber moves us closer to our goal. So thank you again for watching, and let people know that we're having this show right now. Let your contacts know this conversation is going on, and we invite them to be part of the conversation. They can leave a comment in the comment section. We'll try to acknowledge you if you shout out your name and where you are, and invite all of you to ask questions, to give feedback on today's topics, today's guests, and anything else that's on your mind. Well, let me introduce the show. I've got a special guest with me today, two in the arts area and one in the business area. Today's show features a conversation with Carla Bland, who is here in Twin Cities, Minnesota. She's the Community Development Mortgage Loan Officer and a Vice President at Old National Bank. Old National Bank, a great banking institution in Minnesota. And then also in studio with me now, joining us from South Africa, from Soweto, is Hlumelo Nyaluza. He's a South African fashion designer. He's the founder of the ethical luxury brand Hlumelo. Great conversation. I'm expecting another friend to join me in a moment. When he arrives, I'll have him just brought on screen. But a great artist, visionary leader as well. Let me begin by bringing you forward, Hlumelo, and Carla, I'm going to put you back in the back room again for a few minutes, and then we'll bring you back out in a few minutes. Okay, so Jarrett, let's talk about your brand, your product. You started your creative journey in creating what's called slow-made artisan fashion, and that fashion that since honors Africa's story. So tell us about this idea of creating a luxury brand that's based on ethics, culture, and identity. So I've thrown a lot. Welcome to the program. Talk about you, your vision, and your work, your brand.
Hello to you too, sir. I am honored to be a part of your show. And as you did mention, I'm Hlumelo Nyaluza. Originally, I'm from South Africa. I'm from a tribe called the Xhosa tribe, the same tribe that Mr. Nelson Mandela is from, and the same language that they use at Wakanda's Black Panther. Yeah, Black Panther's Wakanda. So when I was 12, that's when I realized my dream in life or my purpose in life is to empower other people, is to make other people's dreams come true through everything that I create and everything that I envision or my imagination. So unfortunately, at the age of 13, I lost my mom to cancer. So after I lost my mom to cancer, one of the ways that I used to connect with her, now that she was gone, I used to take her clothes and I would redesign them or reimagine them, if I may. And then fast forward in 2012, that's when I started a clothing line, a t-shirt clothing line that had positive messages for the masses to empower my peers as well. That didn't work out. And fast forward to last year, that's when I got a dream of creating a luxury brand that is against the norm and something that is going to empower the overlooked African artisans. So yeah, that's how it came about. Oh, you are muted your side.
Thank you. Thank you. I was saying that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. And would you describe what you're wearing right now? I love the way you look uh, in this uh, fashion. What is it that you're wearing?
Thank you so much. So these are beads. I'm inspired by the main colors that are loved by the Xhosa tribe that I just explained. And the dots in my face are the dots that usually women wear when they are going to ceremonies. So I decided to use this as part of my image as a commemoration to my deceased mother, who loved wearing this type of makeup when she'd go to ceremonies. So this as well, it's a it's usually a cape, if I may, but I redesigned it my way, but still used the theme colors for the first range of the Hlumelo Nyaluza luxury brand. So yeah, it's Xhosa inspired. It's a traditional attire.
Absolutely beautiful. And so the idea of a luxury brand, what does that idea mean? And what's the intent? What's the driving idea behind it?
Yeah. So as I did mention, I realized my purpose in life is to help other people's dreams come true. So one thing that I've noticed as a person that I love art, as a person that loves art, as a person that loves being against the norm, and now that I got a design of a bag in my dreams, which I believe it's from my ancestors, I decided to create this project to empower three of Africa's overlooked artisans, which is woodworkers, leather craftsmen, and fine artists. So to make one of the Hlumelo Nyaluza luxury brands, all of those three artisans, they come together. So the main purpose of it all was to empower Africans, because in South Africa alone, 33% of the population is unemployed.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's all about empowering the masses and the artisans and ensuring that I take my Xhosa tribe to the globe
Hmm.
for the world to see how creative and how beautiful our heritage is.
We have a couple of pieces of yours to show. Can you bring those pieces up and you can tell us about these items? Jared, can you show a couple of so what is this first of all?
Okay, so that is me, by the way, wearing the outfit. So at the bottom, the two bags at the bottom are the Hlumelo Nyaluza premium hand box bags. They're the premium bags of the range. So they are made up of wood covered in leather that has been sustainably sourced. And inside those wood boxes, there is a floating cross that makes the hand disappear when one is holding the bag. So that's the signature feature in the Hlumelo Nyaluza bags, which is a registered design. So as you can see, it also features fine art by an artist that was commissioned by Africa's wealthiest DJ to create paintings for his apartment. So he worked with us as well in creating the paintings of my deceased mom and dad as well. So the
Uh,
first range is all about Abazali, which is my parents. And then the bag at the top, it's a cross compartment bag that is
go back,
adorned.
Jared. Go back to the previous. There we go. Yeah.
So
No,
the bag
no.
that
Come back. There we go. Thanks, Jared.
So the bag that is at the top is the cross compartment bag. It's a trunk bag that is wooden, covered in leather, that has got the HN monogram that is Xhosa inspired. I do have it with me as well.
Hmm. Uh-huh. Okay, that's the
So
bag.
it also has the cross, the floating cross that makes the hand disappear into the bag when one is holding it.
Meaning, so you have the bag, you put your hand in the bag, and you can hold the bag, but your hand is not. Show me how. Yeah, show me how it works.
So there's a cross inside,
Uh-huh.
a floating. So you use this floating cross to carry
Hmm.
it. So when you
Ah,
carry the bag using the cross, the hand disappears into the bag.
oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Jared, bring that last picture back up again. Bring back the photograph, Jared. Yeah, I see that. I wanted to. There we go. So above the bed, now you've got that's you in another. What do you call that fabric that you're in?
Yeah, it's the same outfit, but I just did it
Uh-huh.
like that.
Okay. Okay. That's amazing. That's beautiful. That's great, great, great. And then
Thank
let's
you.
go to the second piece of work that we had that you showed. Tell me about this. That's your mom and your dad?
Yeah, so that's my mom, a painting of my mom and my dad. So those are the premium Hlumelo Nyaluza luxury bags, of which if anyone purchases them, it will break a record for the most expensive debut African luxury bag sold. So those ones, they've got real fine art by prominent fine artists here in South Africa.
And how does the person purchase them and what do they cost?
Okay. So if one wants to purchase them, they can go to my e-commerce website, which is www.hlumelonyaluza.com, HLUMELONYALUZA.com. And then these ones, the ones that have paintings of my parents and tell my story, they go for $5,200. And then we do have a version of the bags or a service where a person can ask for us to create a painting of a special loved one or an object or whatever it is that they would love to create. So the bags, there's also a tote bag, which costs $990 dollars, and then they range from $990 to $5,200. So they are premium bags made by a French trained African artisan using premium materials that are sustainably sourced, and it takes a lot of time to create one. And they've
Mhm.
got like this one, the premium one has got fine art, real fine art, which makes it there's nothing elegant more than art. So it really makes it an investment piece. So yeah.
And so this image, let me tell you, we're going to use this image on the cover of Insight News next week. And it's powerful. So thank you for sharing this with us and giving us permission to use this. We're running a story on a phenomenon on social media, on TikTok, called hashtag Black Women Follow Train. The article is written by one of your countrymen, one of our reporters, is Pulane Chouani, and she is in South Africa. She writes regularly for us, and she did a sort of investigative, not investigative, but a feature piece on this global phenomenon about Black women supporting and empowering each other in social media. And we decided to use this piece as artwork to highlight the idea of Black women and the cultural power of Black women. So this is perfect. But I wanted to ask you, I'm glad that you have your mom and your dad. Take a minute and talk about your mom and your dad. Who were they? And in a sense that gives our viewers and listeners an idea of who you are based on the legacy of mom and dad.
So both of my parents, they grew up in villages, um, in backgrounds that were not admirable. Um, and both of them, they like from where they're from, it was very hard for them to access education. So, for instance, my mom's dad, he used to sell cigarettes, but cigarettes from back in the day, the ones that you would smoke using that wooden pipe. So he
Mm-hmm.
would make those pipes as well, and sell them to locals and shops as well. And he used that money for my mom to go to school. So my dad, on the other side, is from a family that was strong on education. Yeah, they were very strong when it comes to academics. Because I remember my dad's mom, she was a teacher back in the 1940s or 1950s, if I'm not mistaken. So there was some sort of a conflict of interest when it came to raising us, with me and my older brothers, four brothers, because my mom was, both of them were teachers, but my mom was more of an entrepreneur, and then my dad was more of an academic. So it was a battle of, okay, which one of these two are the children going to follow? But right after my mom passed away from cancer, because she couldn't afford the, being at a private hospital, I was so inspired to carry on doing what she did, because apart from teaching, she would sell vegetables, fruits, and everything during the weekend. So I ended up teaching the academic side of everything and following my mom's route, of which is entrepreneurship. And she lives inside of me. And one of the reasons why I say that is I've never had a job for the past 13 years. I've been struggling, but every time I get a dream or some sort of an inspiration from my ancestors in my dream, like the concept of the bags, I make sure that I make it happen, no matter how hard it is.
Wonderful. Let me introduce a friend of mine for years and years. He's also a fellow countryman of mine. He's Jamaican. His name is Douglas R. Ewart, and I would not be under stating it if I didn't refer to him as a genius creator, and who's won accolades from around the world for his creativity. He's also a great musician and a inventor, a musical inventor, and an educator, activist in community. And Brother Douglas, good to see you. Welcome to the program.
Oh, it's great to be here, and wonderful to see your beautiful garments, my brother. They are exquisite. And I come from a tailoring background as well. I studied tailoring, and when I saw your garments, I've decided I'd put on one of mine. and I have a couple that I'll show you, but
It looks beautiful.
the importance of in terms of life, and we think about shamans or bush doctors, the importance of regalia, the dress, both as a performer and as a medicine person, that we attribute certain qualities to people based on what they're wearing, and the power and the impact of garments or dress is really important. And of course, Africa being the foundation of all civilizations, clothing is a really important aspect of culture, of preservation in terms of being a human being, both based on climatic conditions and the magic of garments. I'm very inspired by what you're wearing, and ironically,
Thank you so much.
I'm working on a coat that's almost the color. And Africa,
oh wow!
And Africa is there. This is the front. I'm still working on it, but it will be decorated with using buttons, and this is actually dedicated to Yemen-Ya, the goddess of the sea or water in Santeria. And so the garment that you're wearing is very much something that we could attribute to Yemen-Ya, the god or goddess, if you like, of the sea. And we took those concepts from Africa to the Caribbean, Latin America, wherever the diaspora is. We took these philosophical and religious ideas with us. And of course, people tried to undermine those ideas and to call them primitive and so on. But they are what has sustained us. They're what was food for us during revolution. That was one of the central aspects of revolution in Haiti was, Cecilia, I can't think of her last name now, but she was crucial in the revolution, along with Boukman and some of the others that you hear, Toussaint Louverture, Dessalines. But all of those philosophies, what they call voodoo, or they call obia, or they call Santeria or Candomblé, those are all African philosophies that have sustained us. And people try to undermine these things and call them superstition, but they're no more superstition than any of the other ideas about a creator God. So we should never be ashamed of those ideas. They're thousands of years old, and the most important thing is they've sustained us. And we have a saying in Jamaica: belief kill, belief cure. So you know, a lot of things about medicine, when you have people that get healed from what are called placebos, and a lot of it has to do with what is happening in the mind. I just wanted to show you one more jacket maybe before this. This is another. I use buttons a lot because
Wow.
they're so expressive. And this in the back is from Adinkra. Adinkra is a philosophy that comes out of Ghana, and it actually, part of it came out of Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire, however you want to call it. But it was a competition of words between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, and eventually this philosophy evolved, and it has many symbols in there. This one is intersecting crocodiles, and
now I
yeah, see, there's the head, there's the other head. So it's two crocodiles. But what it's saying is that we should not be fighting each other. And they use food as the symbol, but we shouldn't be fighting at all, because we require the same things to sustain us. We need shelter, we need food, we need community. And every culture has to have that. Every human or every animal needs that to survive, except the ones that were prepared to live outside. But even they will bury themselves in the earth or in snow or something to ensure their survival. So this is a symbol out of the Adinkra symbol, and there are others that are on here. And this is a heart, and it also has like a facial aspect, and I, because in Rasta philosophy, I and I means you and I, that we're one, and it looks like a one. I made it so that it looks like a one on our eye, because the oneness of the human family, the oneness of us as Africans, the oneness of us as people, and the importance of fashion as something that uplifts us. Because if you put on a garment, sometimes you're not feeling that good. You put on a garment, it can change your mood. The colors can change your mood, and the compliments that the things that people say to you when you're wearing it. And we can see the importance of clothing in terms of religious philosophy, that when you go into the temple or into the mosque or whatever the gathering place may be, regalia is an important aspect of how people see and embrace the ideas that we bring.
Yeah, this was meant to happen, definitely. Because sorry to cut you, but
No,
there's a lady that asked me about why the white and blue, and then I remember when I was around 18 or 19, as part of our culture, I had to go to the wilderness for a month. They call it an initiation school, where one transitions from being a boy to a man. So there's a guy when I was in the wilderness, in the woods, in the mountains, that came to me, and he was like, "You've got a gift, and your gift has got everything to do with water. So all my ancestors are connected to the water, and that's why I use this blue as well." So that's why I was like in awe when you showed that blue garment with the African flag, and you mentioned the fact that the blue represents water and the power of water as well. because some people, they are forced to be traditional healers. Everything stops if you don't accept that calling here in South Africa. And one of the people that visited me when I was in the mountains told me that my ancestors would love for me to uplift other people through being a traditional healer and through using the power of water. So
Yes,
it's crazy. Literally.
yes. And the fact that as humans, most of our content, we're made up of 70% water. And so if you can live for weeks. Some people have gone over a month of living without food if they have water. So the
Mm,
essential life
mm, mm,
force of water is important. And then the white, because sometimes when we see water and it's not the reflection of the sky, it's clear or white looking, if you will. So those two things go together. Just as and to show you, I was glad when I saw your jacket or your vest. It prompted me to go, because I was just going to have on my T-shirt with Usain Bolt on it, and I said, well, that was the commonality, was, oh, he's wearing a garment,
uh,
and I wanted to show the connection
and
that
this
we
is not
have, even though we don't know each other. Right away, I could see the connection right there, and the connection and the power of what we're talking about. Yemenya, the goddess, is a crucial idea. Seashells, the color blue, lapis lazuli, things like that, and how those things affect how we think. The
mm,
colors can make you, if you're in a gray house with dark, dingy colors,
mm,
it influences our mood and how we feel. And we have a bright color, a bright feeling can come to one based on color. So colors are really important. Garments are really important. And when you look at some of the fashion that has always come out of Africa and continues to come out of Africa, it's stunning and astounding.
the colors.
Yes.
This is awesome. And what a great, great, great conversation. Uh, you know, um, Hlumelo, when you hear and meet Douglas, give me more impressions. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Because this is really rich to have the two of you meet in a space like this.
What's crazy is the fact that he spoke about something that no one has ever realized, especially about the color of the blue and the white. And the fact that he mentioned water and the blue, and the fact that I was also in another interview, I think 2 days back, and I had to explain what it is. And he showed me a garment has got the color blue and Africa as well. It was meant to be. This whole
Hmm.
thing, what to do, it was meant to be. Excuse me, because sometimes, well, most of the time when I'm having such conversations with people that have got wisdom and experience in life like you guys, I always allow my ancestors or the higher power to take over. You understand? So I don't know what's going on, but it was supposed to happen. It was meant to happen. And I'm glad that I met you as well, Douglas. I'm so honored that I've met you as well, and Elle as well. This is easy.
Well, the feeling is mutual, because I have many things that I should be doing, and I got the call this morning, just maybe a half hour before we started, and I said, "Well, I'm going to join this." When I heard that you were going to be dealing with your clothing and the importance of it, the importance of magic, if we will, or the ideas that we think of, and the things that we put importance on or to, and how important those things are, no matter where we are, and that we have this other connection, because right away when I saw your garment, I'm still working on this coat, so it was hanging on from a light fixture, and I said, "Wow, this is perfect that you're," because I dyed this fabric this color because I wanted to dedicate it to Yemen Yah. And so, and I also, when I think of Yemen Yah, I think of Oshun. And so these are the different gods are within the pantheon of Santeria or Candomblé. Or, so they're the common aspect, and those things have many of them, well, they have their origins in a lot of places, but Nigeria has a big impact on many of the things in those philosophies. Those ideas come out of there, but they also come out of anywhere Africans came from, and then we blended these ideas, and they've been very sustaining, because out of that have come, for example, organizations. One idea is called cabildos, where people came together to support each other, and they formed these organizations based on ethnicity from Africa. But when there wasn't enough people from a particular ethnicity, they blended all the people together anyway, and they went beyond just recognition of a particular ethnic group and saying, look, we're coming from the same place. We have connection, whether we recognize it or not. We're in the same struggle, and the philosophies have some connections, some similarities. So this was meant to be. And Al owes me an ice cream cone.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I got another big question for both of you that brings us together for me. And that is, as you were showing the purses that you built, Hlumelo, the ones where the hand disappears, that was genius, I thought.
Yes. Oh,
and so
yes.
the question is about invention and innovation. How does invention and innovation show up in your life? Where does the inspiration come from? Why do you do what you do? Under whose instruction are you moving? And then, Douglas, the same question for you as an inventor. What is the imperative that you continue to create and to invent? And toward what end? So here's the big question. Both of you, if you would, think about whatever your sense of the beginning is or was, and think about the future, what is being created, and how are you the connection to the future, and what kind of world are you assigned to author, to create, to develop? That's kind of the question, and you can deal with any piece of that, any part of it, or none. Hlumelo, you first.
So, for me, as I did mention, with all the concepts that come into my mind, all the unique concepts, I get them from dreams, most of them. I don't sleep at night. Most of the time, 3 o'clock, I'm up. There's ideas coming through, and I've learned to realize that the ideas come from the higher power or my ancestors, if I may. Because with this bag, literally, it came into my dream, the concept of the hand disappearing into a bag. And then I woke up, I started sketching down the concept, and then I started trying to work with more than 20 artisans, local artisans, to create the final version of the bag. I think we made more than 26 failed samples, but fortunately, I ended up finding the right person. So with me, most of my concepts, they come from higher power. And the reason why, from my side, higher power chose me is because it's been true to the whispers that I get sent by the higher power to create all of these beautiful things. And besides that, I've found a way to disconnect from the system, if I may, and make sure that I connect with what I was meant to do in this world, and to also free the masses. So with this one, literally, it came as a dream. The first thing that came into my mind, I'm not sure if Mr. yeah, that saw it, but this floating cross,
Yes.
it
Yes.
came in as a dream. So when you're holding the bag, the hand disappears into the bag like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what inspires me the most, because I believe that not a single person can come up with something so great and take all of the credit for it. Because
Mm.
before this bag as well, I wrote a book using a borrowed laptop. I wrote it, I think it was a 20-page book. I wrote it in 19 days. And I only started to realize that I wrote it after I wrote it. Every time I would start writing each day, I would just allow the higher power to work through me and allow it to work through me and listen to the whispers. You understand? So that's the process for me. And as I did mention, my purpose in life, I realized it when I was 12 that it's making other people's dreams come true through my through the concepts that come through my dreams, if you get me. So that's what inspires me. And everything that I create, I make sure that I uplift the others. So as I did mention with this bag, they will uplift three of the overlooked artisans in Africa, which is the woodworkers, the fine artists, and the leather craftsmen. So
Mm.
I'm very brave. I don't want to lie. Even what I'm doing right now is my first time talking to an American and a Jamaican about something that was in my dreams. You understand? So I think I was chosen because I was brave and I never conformed to society, and I never conformed to the people that were trying to disconnect me from my ancestors or the higher power.
Douglas, jump in.
Yeah, I was just thinking of, I grew up in a culture where people made a lot of the items that they utilized. Um, Firstly, beginning with food, that people grew their own food or grow their own food, and we ate most things we ate were prepared each day. We didn't have a refrigerator. And I think about the beauty of that and the power of that people lived to be very old and were pretty well and strong because they ate foods that were used natural manures, for example. They weren't using synthetic fertilizers. And so we didn't have many of the sicknesses that people now have. And so those things inspired me. And as children, we made our own toys. And that impacted me in terms of the confidence of embarking on making the things that we played with. And so I used to play with old car parts, old machinery, and that grew into, we made our own kites, tops, scooters, cars, whatever we had, most of it we made. Part of it out of economic circumstance, but also out of cultural influence where people made everything. Um, all the garments, people weren't having mass produced clothing. You had dressmakers and tailors. And so I studied tailoring when I was in high school. One of the motivations in studying tailoring was that I would eventually open my own shop because I never really, after I went out there and worked for a few people and I saw how people could mistreat people that work with them, I decided, I think I want to open my own tailor shop. So I studied tailoring to embark upon a independence regarding how I would make my living or make the money to live. And so those things impacted me a lot. And I can say that I've never had a full-time job outside of doing what I do, which is I've taught and I make instruments and I make leather goods. And I'm going to show you one of my latest things that I've built so that you can see the inspiration comes from within the culture. One of the things that we often see now I think is a problem is the idea of separating craft from fine art. And to me, they're the same thing. And in fact, one might say craft may have impacted what we call fine art and vice versa. But people that are doing that's a piece of art that you're wearing. It's as fine as any painting can be. It's just as inspirational and it's functional that we've tried to separate functionality from from what one might call esoteric thinking. It's not true. The same kind of creativity, the same kind of intellect has to go into, like people will say they work with their hands. Well, your hands doesn't work without the brain. So, it's still an intellectual pursuit. It's just that we've assigned credentialing to being the be all and tell all. But there are lots of ways of gaining knowledge without having gone into life is a school. You don't have to go into a building and you don't have to have a degree. I'm not against going to school, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I've met some great intellects that had no lot of schooling, and their thinking impacted me more than many of the so-called great philosophers. I'm just going to show you very quickly an instrument that I built some years ago, and I'm on the fifth one, and it's made from baking tins.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. Let me take this moment to segue, bring in our additional guest, Carla Bland. Carla, thank you for being here and witnessing this marvelous, wonderful conversation between Hlumelo Nyaluza and Douglas Ewart and me. And I want you to bring your story and your energy into the conversation. One of the things that we made reference to, Nyaluza did, was about luxury brand, and luxury connotes wealth. And Douglas always talks about creating, inventing, agency. And so one of the things that you do is encourage people to build wealth by becoming homeowners. That's the bridge I'm going to connect here. So I wanted to take a minute to introduce you as a vice president at Old National Bank here in Twin Cities, but also your particular vision and work in community development. And if you want to react to what you've heard so far, please do.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I count it an honor and a privilege. I'm a creative also. I'm a musician, and I sew and I design. And so this is the right.
There we go. There it is.
This is the right. I sew and design. When I was 8 years old, my father bought me a sewing machine because I was sewing with needle and thread. And so he was an educator, and he made sure I had lessons. I went to Singer. In my early 20s, I realized I could make more than just clothing. And I began to design. I make my hats to match my winter coats. I took upholstery in 12th grade. I draw. And so this is ministering to me because I understand. And I've made my own instruments too. I have a music school, and I took a little plastic container from the Cub Food Deli, and I put some bells in it. and for my students, and I hot glued a little piece of felt on the top, a colorful piece of felt, and so you shake it or you could tap on it, and so it speaks to me about making your own instruments, because I'm expressive in the same way. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
It's amazing. It is. It's
the spirit.
amazing. Yes.
So let's talk about your business, though, what you're doing right now in the area of homeownership, and connect people to that. And any way you connect it to this conversation makes sense to me. And let me say, this will be just the first time, so don't rush, because I'm going to have you back again and again to keep talking about building wealth for individuals and communities and families.
Sure. So I'm very passionate about the idea of transitioning from generational renting to becoming a homeowner, because real estate is the fastest way to build wealth. And so I'm a career banker, and I made a transition some years back because I saw there was a need for an ally in community. And so I said, I'm going to become a mortgage loan officer, because someone needs to know how to be approved the first time, and the preparation and where the resources are. And so what I do is I share about Old National Bank. Now, I've worked at other mortgage companies, but I found that Old National Bank has the best first-time home buyer loan in the state of Minnesota. And I can prove it because of the details. There aren't the 600 credit score. There's no private mortgage insurance. The interest rate is at least 0.5% lower than market rate. And we have a grant. We have a grant that's up to $15,000 in Hennepin and Ramsey County. And you get the full $15,000 if where you choose the home is in a 50% minority area. If it's not 50% minority, we still give you some money. We'll give you 3% of the sales price up to $10,000. So it's a win-win-win-win on all sides, no matter how you cut it. And I love that we have a really good tool to help the underserved, because renters generally, people of color generally have not saved $20,000. This is generally. There are some that have, but generally they have not. And the credit scores may be not quite high enough to be approved for a loan. And so I also partner with nonprofits like CAPI, PPL, PRG, and Model Cities, where I will send my applicants to. If the credit isn't great, I tell them bad credit isn't fatal. You can fix that. It's not fatal. Yeah. I send them to get it repaired. They come back to me, and I take them from there to the house keys. And so that's kind of what I do. And I'm passionate about it, because there has to be somebody to help us learn how to do it, be approved, and what it takes. And also, where is the money?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that.
So what other questions can I answer for you?
Well, how do people reach you, number one? Because somebody listening needs a loan today. Let's give a phone number or email address where people can reach out to you. And then we're going to have you come back and talk about your relationship with friends of mine over at Build Wealth Minnesota and PPL and the places you've mentioned, because there's a whole network of resources. And my mission as a communicator is to make sure that our people know that the resources exist and that they are there for us to use, right? Too often, a lot of good things that are there, but they're hidden. People don't know about it, or they think it's for somebody else and not for them. My job as a communicator, as a newspaper and broadcaster, is to say again and again and again, because somebody, even if I present the message, they might not be ready for it today, but they might be ready for it a month from now or a year from now. My goal then is to keep the message in the environment all the time, so that when the need arises, we know that we can act with confidence and success. And so how do people reach you?
Well, they can reach me by phone at 612-481-9980. They can go to the Old National Bank website. I'm there. I'm in Brooklyn Center. Or they can reach me by email, carla.bland@oldnational.com. Awesome.
We'll be doing more of this conversation about wealth building. Let me ask but Douglas and Nyaluza to talk, and Hlumelo to talk about the notion of wealth. Douglas, as a philosopher, the notion of equity ownership, and I'll take it far. how should we as African people see ourselves as stake owners, as shareholders, as stewards of creation, and where does the question of wealth come into that? What is wealth to you, Douglas Ewart, and how do you create understanding about what wealth is and what it is not through your life and through your work?
I think the first aspect of wealth is health and the importance of eating well. And you don't have to have a lot of money to eat well. You have to decide what it is you're going to buy. And one of the problems that I see that is very destructive for us is you see people that buy a lot of soda and a lot of chips, and they're eating that for their lunch or something, and the children are learning from you. So eating vegetables and fruits, fresh fruits and vegetables, is paramount to having good health. And that to me is the first and the foremost aspect of wealth, because there are people that have a lot of money and they're really not wealthy because they're sick all the time. So you have to think about that. The other thing that I think about is diversity in how I can make my living. And so there are no boundaries between me being a inventor, a leather craftsman, a person that makes clothing, play music, teach. All of those things are combined in a way for me to make a living. And it also makes me independent in a way that if you're working for an establishment, sometimes you can't speak your mind because you'll get fired. Well, nobody can fire me. I worked as a teacher at an institution, but I was still always free because I wasn't just earning my money from one source. When you're doing that, there's nothing wrong with working there. I'm just saying you're not as free as I have been free to say what you want to. Not truth to power. Truth is power. I don't believe in that nonsense about truth to power. And we got to stop saying those things. Those aspects to me are wealth, because wealth is mental and physical, and it deals with money as well. And wealth is, as we just talked about, ownership of land, ownership of a place, not ownership of a car. Because the moment you drive a car off the lot, it's devalued already. And so the value will accrue with most places that you will purchase. When you sell it a few years from then, you couldn't purchase it for the same amount of money. That's wealth building, and then being able to pass those things on to relatives. I know you're coming close to the programs, and so I'll let the other guests speak, but I want to just say diversify how you make your living. The other real important part of wealth is your circle of friends. The people that are around you, that's one of the biggest aspects of wealth that you can have, because you can get sick. All sorts of things can happen to you. But if you don't have a circle around you, be it immediate or extended family or friends, whatever you want to term it, it's important that you build alliances with people, because that will be enduring. Thank you.
Hlumelo, same question to you. What is wealth to you? And I raise the question because you're presenting Hlumelo luxury brands. So describe what luxury means and what wealth means to you.
To me, wealth is an accumulation of, let's say, ventures that you have ownership in, especially major shareholdership. And also, like Mr. Douglas did mention, ownership of property, like how Carla is helping people get property and all of that. It's ownership of something that can accumulate when it comes to value. That's what I believe. And I love the fact that Douglas did mention that if you are free enough to say whatever you want, to do things whatever way you want, then you are heading towards health as well. Because I remember last year when I was busy working on the samples of this bag, there is a company that did try to buy 20% of the whole concept, but they told me that as the 80% shareholder, I'm not going to have any say in the company. So I did tell them, no, they can live with their money, because they were like, no, we are trying to safeguard our investment. And I was like, I'm trying to safeguard my culture. I'm trying to safeguard the dreams that came through to me from my ancestors as well. So I think, to me, wealth is ownership of the gift that you were given by the higher power. The more you have ownership of it, the more you can allow the higher power to work through you, to allow other people to be free as well. And it's something that can accumulate in such a way that it will exist beyond your existence. Like Mr. Douglas did mention, something that can be carried on or carried by the relatives and the young ones, future generations. So yeah, with the bags as well, I'm trying to create a legacy that will live on, a legacy that will also add more beauty to my culture, because I don't just see this as a monogram, but I see it as an extension of something that can be used by my people to look beautiful. You understand? It's a part of a Xhosa attire or the Xhosa tribe that the world as well can celebrate and be a part of. So wealth is liberation.
What does it mean to have this conversation? This is your first interview with an American journalist, you said, or not?
Yeah, it's my first one. It's my first one. So this conversation to me means that everything that I dreamt before and everything that I felt before is real. Because before I spoke to you right now, I believed that my dream is going to take me to America one day, and is going to take me all over the world, and people are going to buy in, and people are going to love, people are going to support, and people are going to be inspired, because Africa does not have a lot of um role models, and I was born to be one as well, and I'm representing my people, and I love the fact that you guys brought me here. I believe this is the beginning of greater things to come, and one day when this whole thing becomes $1 billion company, to this conversation again.
I am going to, and Douglas, you and I may have talked about this before, but I've been associated with a new platform called Narrative. So write this down, guys. Narrative with a K, Knarrative. And it's a Black-owned and developed platform that tries to elevate and propagate an Africana way of knowing. Africana way of knowing. And the principals in it are a sister who's a journalist and entrepreneur out of New York named Karen Hunter, famed, celebrated magazine publisher, owner, and now broadcaster on Sirius Radio. And she connected with this brother who is a legendary professor. Name is Dr. Greg Carr, who heads the Africana Studies Department at Howard University. Howard is one of the premier Black institutions in the country. They met for a potential interview, and Karen tells a story on the platform all the time that when she called to talk to Dr. Carr, within a few seconds, she recognized this was a unique moment. And she said, Dr. Carr, can I record this? Push the record button. And she said, yes. That has led to a program called In Class with Carr. I think 2,000 to 4,000 people every week, every Saturday morning, tune in. It becomes the world's largest Africana Studies department. And within the Narrative system, they created a social media package called Nubia, the word Nubia, but spelled with a K, Knubia. So look both of those up if you would. Now, what I'm saying all this to say, Hlumelo, I'm going to be depositing this interview in Nubia today. So later on today, this interview will be in the Nubia world, and you'll be able to go there and find this interview. And I want you to check it out and figure out how to connect with this Africana community which I know will vibrate with you, your vision, your work. And Douglas, absolutely the same thing with you. And Carla, one of the sections in it is about wealth creation, building wealth in our community. So all four of us have a reason to be connected in narrative and in Nubia. Well, listen, we're out of time. What a great conversation. Carla, thank you so much. Douglas Hewitt, as always. Douglas, talk about what's coming up in May. We're doing something at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah,
celebrating. Go ahead.
We're doing a reggae festival, but it's more than a reggae festival. It's a bringing together of people here that are interested, and people from the Caribbean, really, and beyond, from here as well. And we're elevating or spotlighting the importance of reggae. And we have had it several years at the University of Minnesota, and it will be held on the 19th of May. And we'll have more information regarding that we'll give to Mr. McFarlane. And one of the things I just want to quickly add is coming together with other people, because you might not have all the money, but if we pool our resources, we can be stronger. And in fact, that's how we have a lot of the things that we have. You can look at SUSU or partnerships. We have these ideas that go back thousands of years. It's nothing new for us. We've been doing banking before the idea of banking came to, or that name came to be. But we've been banking for a long time. We just have to trust each other and be more amenable to working together, and we can be richer than we've ever been. And it's so beautiful to be here with all of you, and I will continue my connection as well.
Thank you so much. What a great conversation. We'll be talking to all of you. I'm Al McFarlane. This is The Conversation with Al McFarlane. See you next time.